Futile statements, insubstantial promises, veiled attacks, and no resolution. This is a short summary of the United Nations Security Council conference on the coronavirus crisis that took place last night. A conference that was an opportunity to pin responsibility on China for a recession that awaits all of us. It was, as feared, a wasted opportunity. Not much came out of it, except maybe an inconclusive war of words. All the 15 members of this council attended the meeting via video conference. It was a virtual session. It began with the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, reminding member nations how this pandemic is the fight of a generation. It is. How it has eroded public institutions, postponed elections, downturned the economy, and threatened social order, which is good because the council members need to know how and how much they're suffering. But the most essential aspect was left out. It was left untouched. The question of why. Why are they suffering? For whose faults? No mention of that. Their turns came. The meeting followed protocol. All the 14 members, except for China too got a chance to speak, but all 14 others too got a chance to raise their concerns. And all of them could have pulled up China. But as expected, all of them responded positively to the United Nations chief's statement, and they called for a global ceasefire. Except maybe the US. You'll have to give it to them for this. The US once again called for complete transparency and timely sharing of public data. This is what they said. Ambassador Kelly Craft, the United States representative, said, and I'm quoting, "The United States reiterates today the need for complete transparency and timely sharing of public health data. The most effective way to contain this pandemic is through accurate science-based data collection and analysis of the origins, characteristics, and spread of the virus." It's a statement that's in line with their president's earlier stance. He had said that China had withheld vital data on the outbreak. But the statement did not achieve much. China hit back at the US as expected. It said that to overcome this pandemic, scapegoating must be avoided. The Chinese representative said what the WHO chief had said earlier. He said, and I quote, "Politicization must be rejected along with all kinds of stigmatization." A clear response to Trump's insistence on blaming China for the outbreak. Here's something else that was in expected lines. Russia's response backed China. It extended complete support to the WHO. The Russian representative asked the member nations to reject prejudice, phobias, hatreds, and most importantly, suspicions. Reject suspicions. That's rich coming from Moscow, but that's besides the point. The most crucial Russian demand was the lifting of all non-UN mandated sanctions, i.e. American sanctions. It applies to US sanctions on countries like Venezuela and Iran, two very important allies of Russia. Then there was Europe. United Kingdom and France, both badly hit by the virus. Combined cases in these two countries, close to 200,000, 2 lakh coronavirus cases. British parliamentarians have been pushing for accountability from China, but Britain restricted itself to talking about global ceasefires and conflict sensitivities. The French envoy said that global solidarity is the only way to tackle the pandemic. Why not? France announced 1.2 billion euros to fight the outbreak in Africa, and that pretty much is the end of story. For all their promises of solidarity, each country chose to go its own way and do its own petty politics. This private session was never likely to yield any serious action. In fact, it even took place because the smaller member nations demanded it, not the big players. They came, they fought, and they only made it worse. If anything, this conference has only exposed the growing irrelevance of the United Nations and this Security Council.